Hello everyone, welcome to ENK Academy. This video is about operations with fractions. At the end of this video, you should be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions. If we want to add two whole numbers, we usually use the colon method, and then what you do, you add the first column to 5 and the second column to 5, and this is the result of the addition. In the same way, if you have a more complicated number, so what you will do, we have the colon method. The first line, 8 plus 5 will give us 13, so we then write 3 and then take 1 over 1 plus 8, 9 plus 3, which is 12. So we have 2 and we carry 1 over, and 1 plus 2, 3 plus 3, which is 6. This is quite easy how to compute the addition of two whole numbers. In the same way, with this subtraction, what we do, we take the first column here. 5 is less than 8, so we borrow from the second digit, which is left 2, and then we add 1 over here. Now we have 15 minus 8, which is 7, and 2 minus 8. 2 is less than 8, so we borrow 1 over here. 2 left, we have 12. 12 minus 8, which is 4, and this will be the result of our subtraction, and this is the result of our addition. This is how we solve addition and subtraction of whole numbers. How do we then carry on with fractions? In the event where we have like denominators, we have 4 and 4 which are the same. What you do, you just keep the same denominator and then you add the numerators. In this case, we have 2 over 4, and then we can simplify it to 2. Even though we have 3 or more fractions with like denominators, we carry on with the number 5 over here. Then we add 1 plus 7 plus 3, which gives us 11 over 5. And then you can choose to write it as a mixed number by calculating the division between 11 and 5, which gives us the quotient 2 with the remainder 1, and then 1 over 5. Likewise, if we have subtraction of fractions with like denominators, we do the same. We keep the 4 and then we subtract the numerators. In this case, we have 6 over 4. We can simplify it as we learned last time. This will be divided by 2, both in the numerator and then in the denominator. And this one, which is an improper fraction, can also be written as the quotient. If we divide 3 by 2, we have remainder 1 and then 1 over 2. In the same way, here we will just have 3 and then 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2 equals to minus 1 over 3. So we do the same with 3 fractions. Even though we have a mix of addition and subtraction, the basic idea is to keep the denominator as it is, and then you add the numerator. In this case, we have 8 minus 3, which is 5 over 5, and this is equal to integer, which is 1. So therefore, if you want to add or subtract two fractions with like denominators, You just need to add and subtract the numerators. In many cases, we will have denominators that are different. That's what we call unlike denominators. In this case, you can have two different ways to solve it. One way is just to say, how do I make the denominators to be the same? Here it is quite clear to say that if I multiply each denominator, what we get is 4 times 3, and then we also multiply the numerator by 3, so we don't change the value of the fraction, plus we will have here 3 times 4, and then 2 times 4. In this case, we get 3 over 12 plus 8 over 12, and thus now we have the same denominator. We can just add the numerators, so we have 11 over 12. In this case, it turns out to be quite nice. We don't need to simplify the fractions. We don't need to simplify the answer. So what if we have 1 over 10 plus 3 over 4? If we want to apply the same technique as above, what will happen is that we will have 10 times 4, 1 times 4, plus we have 4 times 10, 3 times 10. This will give us 4 divided by 40 plus 30 divided by 40, which gives us 34 divided by 40. As we can see, this fraction needs to be simplified. In this case, we have to find the common factor, the greatest common factor. Here we can divide 3 over 4 by 2 to get 17, and then 40 by 2 to get 20. So the additional step of simplifying the fraction can be avoided by looking at the least common denominator. How do we do it? We need to find the lowest multiple of both 10 and 4. So if we want to look at the multiple of 4, that will be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and 40. If we look at the multiple of 10, which is quite simple, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on. That will mean that the lowest common multiple between those two is 20. So by bringing the fraction with 20 as the common denominator, also called the least common denominator, we need to bring the first fraction to 20. That will be 10 times 2. In the same way, we have 1 times 2, plus the second one will be 4 times 5, and then 3 times 5, which gives us 2 over 20 plus 15 over 20. And now we have like denominators. We just need to add the numerators, and then we get 17 over 20. And this result is the same as we obtain here without further simplification. Therefore, if you have two fractions you want to add with different denominators, you need to find the least common denominator and then add the fractions together. Similar rule apply to subtraction between two fractions. As we did in the previous slide, in this case, we can just say, if we apply the least common denominator, we can look at the multiple of 4, which is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and the multiple of 3 will then be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and so on. As you can see, the least multiple of those two is 12, so we need to bring those two fractions with 12 as the denominator, and this is straightforward. We multiply by 3 the first one, and then we multiply by 4 the second one. In that case, we have 3 over 12 minus 8 over 12, which gives us minus 5 over 12. And similarly, if we have this case over here, you need to pay attention. As we can see, 6 is a multiple of 3, so we can just bring this fraction with like denominator equal to 6, which will be 3 over 6 minus 3 times 2, 1 times 2, which is 3 over 6 minus 2 over 6. Now the denominator is the same, we just have to subtract the numerator. In this case, we get 1 over 6. However, if we did multiply over by 6, by 6, by 3, by 3, then we will end up with 9 over 18 minus 6 over 18, which will give us 3 over 18, and this is not the simplest form. That means we need to simplify again by dividing by 3 to get 1 over 6, which gives us the same if we use the least common denominator. So in the same way, you need to find the least common denominator between the fractions and then subtract the fractions. Now it's your turn. So I will give you 60 seconds to try to solve these two problems. 45 seconds to go. Thirty seconds to go. 15 seconds. 10. Done. Thank you and well done. So how do we solve this? So we try to find the common denominator between 6 and 4. As we will see, 12 is the least common denominator. Means to bring these fractions to the denominator 12, we need to multiply 6 by 2, 5 by 2, plus 4 by 3, and 1 by 3, and then we get 10 over 12, plus 3 over 12, and we get 13 over 12. If you want to write this one into a mixed number, you divide 13 by 12, so 12 goes into 13 one time, remainder 1 over 12. In the same way here, what we do, we can take this fraction to go up to 21 in the denominator, minus 3 times 7 and 2 times 7. What we get is 12 divided by 21 minus 14 divided by 21. This gives us minus 2 divided by 21, and this fraction does not need to be simplified anymore. Thank you very much for trying this. So how to add and subtract mixed numbers. So if you want to add two fractions and one or both are expressed as mixed numbers, what you do, you convert first into an improper fraction. Here we know that the conversion will be multiply here and then plus the numerator. That will give us 4 times 2 plus 1 over 4, which is equal to 9 over 4. So the actual equation is 9 over 4 plus 2 over 3. And we have seen 4 and 3 as 12 as the common denominator. So we can have 9, 4 times 3, 9 times 3, plus 3 times 4, 2 times 4. And what we have actually is 27 over 12 plus 8 over 12. We just need to add the numerator. 27 plus 8 is 35. And 35 can then be written back as mixed number. 12 goes into 35 two times. That will give 2. And then remainder 11 divided by 12. Similarly, if you want to subtract two mixed numbers, so we need to convert them first into improper fractions. We multiply here and we add. We multiply and we add. So what is happening here now is over 6, we have 2 times 6 plus 3 minus 3 times 2 plus 1, which gives us 12 plus 3, which is 15 over 6 minus 7 over 3. As you can see, 6 is a multiple of 3, so we bring this one stays the same, and then we bring the other one 6 and 14, so we times it by 2, and the resulting fractions is 1 over 6, which is already simplified. So to add or subtract mixed numbers, you need to convert them into improper fractions and then apply addition and subtraction rules. So let's now multiply numbers. So if we want to multiply two numbers, two integers, we use the colored method. In this case, because we have two digits in the both of numbers, so we can actually add two lines here. 3 times 2, which is 6 here. 3 times 2, which is 6. 3 times 2, which is under the 3, 6. And 3 times 2, which is 6 here. We can fill up with 0 here, which gives us 6. And then 12, you write 2. We carry on 1. And 1 plus 0 plus 6, it gives us 7. If we have a more like 3 digits, so what we have 2, 8, 8, 3, 5, 3, 3, 5, we can easily make one line, second line, third line. And then we do the same, 5 times 8, which is 40. We have 0 here, and we keep 4 on the side. 5 times 8 is 40 plus 4. We have 44. We write 4, and then we limit the first one. We keep 4. 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 4, which is 14. Then we go below 3 over here. 3 times 8 is 24. 4, 2. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 2, 26. We have 6 and 2. We have now 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 2, which is 8. And then we go below this 3 number here. 3 times 8 is the same as before, so we can just repeat the previous ones. We can add 0, 0 over here. We have addition 0, 4 plus 4, 8, 4 plus 6 plus 4, 14. We have 4. We carry on 1. 1 plus 1, which is 2, plus 8, 10, plus 6, 16. We have 6. We carry on 1. And 1 plus 8, which is 9. And this is the result of the multiplication of two integers. So to multiply two fractions, what you do, you multiply the numerators and then you multiply the denominators. What you get here is 2 over 12, and this can be simplified by dividing by 2. We have 1 over 6. In case of mixed numbers, so we need to multiply first and add, multiply and add. So we transform this one, we keep 6 down. We have 6 times 2 plus 3, multiply by 3 times 2 plus 1, which gives us 12, 15 over 6 times 7 over 3. In principle, we have 3 times 6 times 3, and then 15 times 7. So 15 times 7 is 105, and then 6 divided by 3 is 18. So writing this as a mixed number, 18 goes into 105 5 times, and then 18 times 5 is 90, so the remainder will be 15 over 18. And this can be further simplified as 5. We divide by 3 on both sides. We have 5 over 6. So to multiply two fractions, you multiply the numerators, and you multiply the denominators. In case of mixed numbers, you convert them first into improper fractions, and then you multiply and simplify afterward if needed. How do we divide two fractions? To divide two fractions, you take the first one, you keep it as this, and then you multiply by the inverse of the second one. So the denominator becomes the numerator, and the numerator becomes the denominator, and then you change the division to multiplication, which will now give us 1 times 3, which is 3, 4 times 2, which is 8, and this is the division as we need. In the same way, if we have mixed numbers, you can see that what we got from the previous one was 15 over 6 and 7 over 3. So in reality, what we have here is 15 over 6 divided by 7 over 3. So the rule says that we keep the first one and then we multiply by the inverse of the second one. What we get already here, if you want, you can simplify 1, 2. So you only have 15 divided by 14, and 14 goes into 15 one time, remainder 1 over 14. So division implies that the second fraction is turned upside down, and then we proceed with multiplication rules. Now it's your turn. I'll give you 60 seconds. 45 seconds. 30 seconds. 15 seconds. 'Done. Thank you very much for trying this, and well done. So what we do here is quite easy. We multiply 5 by 1, which is 5, and then 6 by 4, which is 24. And this is the result of the multiplication. In this case, we keep 4 over 7, then we multiply by the inverse of the second one, which will be 3 over 2, and the result is 12 over 14, and this can be simplified by dividing by 2 both the numerator and the denominator, which gives us 6 over 7. So we just divide by 2 and then by 2 to get this one. So this is a GCSE paper from 2018. This is foundation level, and in question 9 it was asked to work out the fraction that is halfway between 1 over 2 and a mixed number 1 unit 1 over 4. So if we look at 1 over 2 and we assume that this whole piece is divided in 2 parts, we can already say that one part is colored, and then this will be our 1 over 2. If we have 1 unit, which is we have 4 parts, and then we have 1 unit plus 1, this will be our 1 over 4, which actually is 4 times 1 is plus 1 is 5 over 4. Now, what is the number, the fraction that lies between those two? There are different techniques how to solve it, but the easiest way is to find the average value. So you do first take 1 over 2 plus 5 over 4, and then all of them you divide by 2 to get the middle point. In this case here, we have 4, which is multiple of 2. What we do here, 2 times 2, 1 times 2, plus 5 times 1, 4 times 1, and then the whole thing should be divided by 2. What we get here is 2 divided by 4 plus 5 divided by 4. All of them should be divided by 2. We have the same denominator, and we can just add the numerators. So we actually have 7 over 4 that should be divided by 2. This implies 7 over 4 multiply by the inverse of 2, which is 1 over 2, and now we multiply 7 over 8, which is the fraction that is halfway between the two fractions. In the same year, for foundation and higher tier, we had the same questions. Of course, for foundation, it was question number 25, and then for higher tier, it was question 5. The question was work out the division here, which is pretty easy. So we need first to convert into improper fractions. The first one will be multiplication and plus. That will be 2 times 8 plus 1 divided by 2. And then division will be multiplication and plus. We have 3 times 2 plus 2 all over 3. The first one is 2 times 8 plus 1 is 17 over 2 divided by 8 over 3, and then we need to keep the first fraction and then multiply by the inverse of the second one. What we get is 17 times 3 is 51, and then 2 times 8 is 16. You can then look at 16 goes into 51 3 times, so we have 3, and then 16 times 3 is 48, 51 minus 48 is 3, and then we have the denominator as mixed number. Thank you very much for watching this video. We will encourage you to subscribe and be empowered.